Hello everyone, welcome back to Gunsmith Part 17. Today we're doing the AK-102. Here is the finished build. If you just want to see it, we'll get into how to build it now. So we're going to go to the flea market. We're going to find ourselves an AK-102. This is the 5.56 version of the AK, although it's the slightly shorter one. And we can either buy these from the flea or we can buy them from Mechanic 3. I'm going to start with Mechanics 1 just so there's nothing funny about it, but you can technically buy one of these as well, as long as the durability is decent. So on here, the thing that we have to do first is the muzzle brake. It requires a first round CRD concussion reduction device. So how to get this on, we need to use the CNC Warrior as well. This is the one that's been in the news recently because now you can use this on 5.45 weapons as well. So we put the CNC Warrior on, and then on top of that, you have to find this specific part, the CQB 5.56. This is this thing, the first round CQB. Once you add this on, you then get another option for this, which is the CRD concussion reduction device. So you stick this on as well, and that fixes our muzzle brake. Now, there are two barters that you can do for these. You can't necessarily buy them straight away, but there's a barter for the CRD itself for a WD-40 with 400mm, and then there's also another one for the CQB itself for WD-40, except this time it is the 100mm version, but you can buy these from Peacekeeper 3, so you probably can just get access to them at this point. CNC Warriors themselves, you're still going to have to buy off the fleet until later on in the Gunsmith series. I think this is the one that actually unlocks this, so it's kind of that catch-22 that you usually get with Gunsmith, but they're normally not that expensive. Now you can flip them. Next, we need to add the grip. This is the one part that tricks people up the most. So we got to find a handguard that supports both the flashlight and also the grip underneath. So I'm going to use the B10M plus B19 in this one. It's kind of a nice middle ground between the two. I used to use these in my old guides. I had the MOE AKMs, but these ones are no longer compatible with the flashlight that we need to use, it seems. I had a look at this morning, and it looks like we need to use this guy. So here, we're going to be adding on this very specific foregrip. We're going to be adding on the Magpul AFG Tactical Foregrip in olive drab. If it isn't this one specifically, and it doesn't look precisely like this, it won't work. There's one that has a Magpul M-Lock attachment rail, and that's not the one that you need to use. You have to use this particular foregrip, otherwise it will not function. And this one, you do just have to buy off the flea market. This one gets unlocked later from Mechanic. So buy this thing, and we're going to put it on the rail here. Now, the next part is the Clash 2U. This is this one. As I said, this one stopped being compatible with a lot of the other handguards, I think, because it's probably quite big, and so it doesn't fit onto most of these things. PSG have been like tightening up what fits on what recently, so you need to use one of these handguards. There's quite a lot of choices, loads of different ways to do this particular build, but this is the way I've chosen to do it. Next, we need an RPK16 buffer tube. So we're just going to go and get one of these. You can buy these off the flea market, or you can get them straight off Mechanic 3. So onto this, we're then going to add something. So what I would advise you to do, to make sure that we don't have to pay up for other components, we can go through and we can look at stocks and chassis on a linked search. Now, the two that work in my build is this one, the CTR carbine stock in black, or on FDE. So just pick whichever's the cheapest. This would be a right steel here. This is 13k for the black version, and the FDE one is the one that I ended up buying because it was the cheapest at the time. But go and look through either of those. I'm going to put on this FDE one, which is this guy here. It's called CTR FDE in the little drop down. I'm going to put that on because that was the cheapest for me, but you just pick whichever one you want. For a pistol grip, we're going to add on the saw because that's really cheap and adds a bunch of ergonomics. And then we need to change over the magazine to this one, the C10. This is the Circle 10 AK. There's only two, so it's pretty easy. Again, buy this one from the flea market. There's also an alkali barter for it, and you can get it on Peacekeeper 3. So a lot of these parts are a lot more available now than they used to be. We're then going to remove the rear sights like we usually do when we're trying to fix stuff, and we add the dog leg rail. Rather than the Bastion, we're going to add the dog leg rail because you get 2 extra ergo, which makes this build slightly easier to use. And then on the back of this, we're going to add the Romeo 7. This is a very cheap 1x, which does for some reason have 800 sighting range, so we're going to use this one here. The final part we're going to add is a very cheap little RP1 charging handle. This adds 1 extra ergo, and this brings us up to 70 here. So I'm going to select the weapon that we had before, and I can't build it because it's exactly the same as the one that I've got in the stash. So we're going to hand this guy over to Mechanic as well, and we're going to get onto the next build, Gunsmith Part 18.